This was a big season, I thought, for Brian Burns because he was in the final year of his contract. Multiple times the Carolina Panthers turned down trade offers for him. Yet it's been an underwhelming season for Brian Burns. This is why I bring on Vashti Hurt, Carolina Blitz, joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Vashti, I look at some of the numbers here for Brian Burns this season between sacks, quarterback hurries, quarterback hits. If you add those things together, looking at just 18. That's it over a span of 14 games this season so far. Why do you feel like Brian Burns has underperformed?
I think there are a couple of reasons why he hasn't performed up to expectations. I guess I don't know. I don't think that he's played badly. I think that when you have one player that your defense, opposing offenses scheme around, then he's still premier in the league because people don't worry about you. You know, they say if you ain't got no haters, then you ain't popping.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, people, opposing offenses, he is their guy that they scheme around. I just think it's been several things. Brian Burns has played a lot of the season injured, and I don't know if people understand that, but he had an elbow injury, which changed the side of the field that he had to line up on due to him not being able to pass rush, which means he was on the same side as Derek Brown, which messed up things schematically. Injuries to the line as far as Vitor Gross-Matos, Marquise Haynes, an offense that does not allow the defense to play from behind. You got to understand when the offense is scoring points, that allows the defense to pin their ears back and be more aggressive. And that's where you get those sack totals. That's where you get those QB hurries. And Brian Burns also drops back in coverage, I would say maybe a little bit more than your pure pass rushers and let's say maybe a Nick Bosa. So I think that there are a number of reasons why his production when it comes to statistically is down. I do still think that he is a premier edge rusher in the league. It's not up for me to decide how much he warrants getting paid, but in the one game that he didn't play in, you saw how that defense struggled with the pass rush. So, I think that there's several factors that have contributed to the decline in numbers. And also, one more thing, Justin Houston did not have the season that everybody expected. He was hurt.
Good
so you
point.
have really and I mentioned the injuries, but you have nobody else on that other side to help him out.
Yeah, they paid $6 million for Justin Houston to get half a sack this season. I wish I got paid that much to get half a sack. Now, speaking of the pay, by the way, Vashti Hurt, Carolina Blitz, joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. Follow her on X at Keep Blitzin. Now, you talk about the money. Now, we look at the stats and all that stuff, and that's where things are factored in when it comes to negotiations. And now Brian Burns is he's scheduled to be a free agent this offseason. I don't see the Carolina Panthers letting him walk in any way, shape, or form, because if they do, that's pure malpractice for all the draft picks that they've turned down for him over the last couple of seasons. But when it comes to negotiating, are we staring down a franchise tag for Brian Burns? He did have that.
I think so.
Yeah, because he had that hold in earlier this season trying to negotiate a deal, and they still haven't worked something out.
Yeah, I think that that's, and who knows who the GM will be.
Great question.
But when they weren't able to get a deal done before the season or maybe early into the season, and then the season, of course, did not go, I think that there would have been maybe more urgency if the Panthers were playing better. But as you mentioned, you're not going to get 2 first rounders for Brian Burns anymore.
Nope.
And you could potentially get 1 first rounder, but I don't know if that's worth it. I do expect he'll likely be franchise tagged. I'm not sure how he feels about that personally. He was pretty open, and I haven't posted about it yet, but he was pretty open about how this season was the most challenging of his career based on several factors. But he's going to have to prove his worth again if he gets franchise tagged, or who knows how he'll handle that if he'll attempt to sit out. I think all of his leverage for for doing that would have been ahead of this season. And he opted to stay and play and continue that path. But, I asked him yesterday, would he stay in a perfect world? Would he stay and remain in Carolina? And he emphasized, in a perfect world, yes, he will remain in Carolina. What that perfect world looks like, I don't know. I'm sure it doesn't include a franchise tag, but at this point, he doesn't really have control over that.
Now, things have been far from perfect in Carolina. Now, I know because you were down there when he was in the locker room yesterday. You were down there when he said he's not a big fan of change. He never was really like change much in his career, but since he's got to Carolina, he was drafted when Ron Rivera was the head coach. Then there was Perry Fuel as the interim. Then there was Matt Rule. Then there was Steve Wilkes as the interim. Then there was Frank Reich as the head coach. Now Chris Tabor as the interim. There's been nothing but change for Brian Burns in his career. What incentive does he actually have to stay in Carolina?
I mean, money would be there.
There's that, yes, but I'm sure that guy can get paid by a lot of franchises out there. There are 31 other franchises that would love to sign him.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Money would probably be the only incentive based on that. He has developed a good relationship with the guys in the locker room. And so, he came out and flat out said that he would like to see all, the defensive staff remain in place, although he understands that, with the new coaching staff coming in, that's likely not going to be the case. Mm-hmm. If he wants to win, does he stay in Carolina? Who knows? He's never experienced a winning season since he's been drafted. You already mentioned the coaching carousel in for another head coach to try to get used to, which is tough in and of itself. I can't imagine being in a job and having a new boss every year that you gotta get used to. But I think he likes Charlotte. I think he likes the team, and I think he's familiar with the franchise. Is that enough to keep him in Charlotte? No. But honestly, he doesn't really have much leverage at this point when it comes to that. So it's an unfortunate situation for him where he can't control much of whether he goes or whether he stays. He's a free agent, but they can still use that franchise tag on him, which I think that they'll do.
That they likely can. Vashti Hurt, Carolina Blitz, joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Final thing for you here. Speaking of that, we only got about a minute left. For that new boss of his, that new head coach, reportedly $15 million is the asking price from Detroit Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson in order to be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. $15 million a year. Worth it?
I don't know. I hear that that's going to not just be Ben Johnson, but any head coach with any salt in the game is what it's going to require for David Tepper, given what's happened with Matt Rule, given what's happened with oh my gosh, I forgot his name already, Frank Reich.
It's easy to forget.
And understanding the desperation of David Tepper. Not just Ben Johnson, anybody who is not, somebody unknown, anybody with a hot coaching name is going to require $15 million from David Tepper. Ben Johnson's agent has refuted that. I think the report is accurate because I've heard that other places, but not just specifically linked to him. David Tepper is going to have to throw a bag at anybody, and he threw a bag at this past coaching staff. All of those coordinators, all those position coaches that they brought in. So he has the money. He's not afraid to spend it. He's going to have to spend it in the offseason. And I don't think he's afraid to. If he thinks Ben Johnson is his guy, then he'll give him what he wants. Is he the right guy? I don't know. I have no idea. Some guys are just better at being coordinators, and you don't know that until they get head coaching jobs. I think that Frank Reich is a better coordinator than he is a head coach. Even in interviews with him, that's the way it came across. And he's passionate about the X's and O's, but maybe not the managing part that comes with the head coaching job. You hope that Ben Johnson, if they select him or if he comes to Carolina, would be good with both parts, but you won't know until it happens.